What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market. I'm also going to break down some big news that came out for Tesla as the Model Y refresh is launching in the USA. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30. And the offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, as far as Tesla's going, the 4 hours showing some life here. If you could try to hold above 415.75, there's a good chance that Tesla could try to push a little bit higher and get close to 420. I think there might be a small push upon opening because of excitement involving this Model Y refresh news. But we'll see if the move will last or not. Because once again, we have to try to reclaim this trend line for us to continue a much larger uptrend. We're pretty far from it. So I'm not going to promise that we're going to get that high. But at the very least, I think we will attempt some kind of push to start things off. And then we'll see if the move lasts or not. So just keep that in mind. So what is going on so far? Tesla has announced that the redesigned Model Y SUV is coming to the USA, Canada, Mexico, and many other countries actually in March. The starting price is going to be just shy of $60,000, which is not bad whatsoever. Very, very cool design and such. This news came out after they revealed the new look of their Model Y and announced it was coming to China and other markets in March. So that's something very important. Very, very good news, at least for them. They also mentioned that they're going to be launching their revamped SUV simultaneously around the globe, and that is a departure from the multiple month gap between Asia and North America. So, very, very good news, at least thus far. I also want to mention that many news sources are bringing up how Tesla saw their deliveries fall in 2024 compared to 2023. So this could be a very, very good strategy that they could be using to get those sales back up. They're still trying to get rid of the old inventory of the Model Ys, but if anything, this could be very, very promising for them, especially because it's launching the US. I think this is going to be a good piece of news. I'm seeing this all over headlines right now. The new Model Y refresh is making lots of headlines all over the news. They are talking about the design in some articles. And if anything, I hope that this helps boost their sales as time goes on. There's been some talk about the European sales. Some of the numbers are out. Unfortunately, for last year, the sales are down like 13%. That's not really a surprise. We knew this already, that the European sales were a little bit lackluster, but what helped them offset that was the Chinese sales, which were relatively strong. But just know that different analysts have different perspectives. Some people blame Elon Musk for why we saw the big drop in sales in Germany, France, and Italy. Others out there are saying it has more to do with interest rates and the pricing of the vehicles. There's a bunch of different factors that could be affecting this. We'll have to see what happens with the European sales, maybe going into the first quarter, and hopefully we see their sales eventually boost as time goes on. This decline could just be a temporary thing because of external factors. So I'm not going to play any blame game or do anything like that, like some of these analysts are doing. I just want to say that let's give it some time and hope that they get their sales back up, especially with the new Model Y refresh coming out. Once again, all over the news, the updated Model Y Juniper is going on sale in the UK, Europe, and the USA. It's all over the news right now. Can't wait to see how their sales increase. I heard that they're getting tens of thousands of pre-orders, and let's hope that this continues to grow. As far as the news goes, let me just bring up the news from Japan as well. In Japan, they basically increased their overall interest rates. Just keep that in mind. That news came out yesterday. As far as that's going to affect the markets, we'll have to see about that. But just know that for today, it is Friday, January 24th. Just know that the S&P Global Composite Manufacturing and Services PMI report comes out at 9:45 a.m. That may cause some volatility. We have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment data at 10 a.m. as well. We'll see what that causes. For now, make sure you watch this news as well. So that's going to be very important. We just got that news from Japan that they once again raised their interest rates. So we'll see how that affects the U.S. markets. So just keep that in mind. For other pieces of news, we just got Verizon announcing their earnings. They did very, very well. This is a key takeaway, at least for it. We saw their Q4 2024 EPS of $1.10 above expectations. Revenues at $35.7 billion above expectations. And overall, we got some good guidance, which is why the share price is still doing relatively well. So good job by Verizon. For SPY, we have about 300,000 calls expiring and 1 million puts expiring for a 3.2 puts to call ratio. There's 3 puts for every call expiring, so we'll see how this ends up affecting things. So now let's just talk about the share prices. So Tesla needs to hold this key support right over here at this 415 area. If we could try to hold above this, there will be an attempt for us to try to push for 418 to 420 when we open, and then we'll see if we get a rejection or not off this trend line. We might get very close to testing this trend line of resistance, and then we'll see, do we reject off of this or do we see a move right back up? If we get back above this blue trend line, which is where the uptrend has been, we've been making higher highs and higher lows trying to hold it up. If we reclaim this, we're going to be pushing towards 430 all over again if we try to reclaim this blue trend line right over here. So you guys can see it just like this. This is how we're looking. If we can't do that though, if we reject off the trend line, then what could happen is we push to the resistance and then we get like a rejection again and continue to fall. So I'm going to be watching to see, does Tesla break through this or not? So look for an attempt to bounce close to 420, and we'll see if Tesla gets a rejection. I do see some upside potential in the share price to start things off. But watch and see if we can break 420 to eventually get back above this trend line. If we can't, it could just reject back down. If we end up losing 410 flats, though, there's going to be a risk of even more downside. Even if we get some kind of bounce and reject, if 410 fails us, we're looking for 406 or below. I favor this is going to try to push higher, but we'll see what kind of reaction we get. So look for a temporary push to the upside, and then we'll see what happens after that. For SPY is in a very interesting phase right now. We have this resistance to watch for at this 610 area. And if we lose 608, we're looking for a dip back down towards 606.5. If that zone fails us, if we end up losing that, there's going to be a risk of us returning to 603. So watch 606. If that fails us, I'm looking for 603 as our target. If we could break 610, we're looking for an attempt to push to 612 and 616. As of right now, we're a little bit in the red after the news has come out involving the Bank of Japan, and also because of other factors. But watch and see what happens once our PMI report comes out today at 9:45. If SPY loses 606 today, okay, I think that there's going to be a risk of the bears trying to drag the slower to fill that gap. If we break past 610, then there's going to be an attempt to get to 612 and all the way back up to 615. So we'll see. Are we going to be bullish or bearish? We're going to wait and see what the reaction is for SPY once our data is released. So get ready for that. I am seeing a little bit of weakness in the pre-market, but we'll see just to be safe. On the QQQ, if we're bullish, I want to see this thing try to break past 533 and then 535. If we break this 533 to 535 range, this will remain bullish. If we fail, if you see the QQQ fall to about 530, that does not hold us. We're at risk of coming down to where this gap is, the 527 support. And then if that does not hold, we will be dipping lower. So just keep that in mind, guys. I don't pay attention to the length of this arrow. I know this is like extending into Tuesday. Don't worry about that. This is meant for Friday. I'm just trying to make it like easier to see. So if we break 533 to 535, we're bullish on the QQQ. If we lose 530, we dip back down. We're completely just stuck in the middle right now. We're waiting for our data. So let's see what the PMI report causes. The IWM Russell 2000 looks a little bit weaker. We have kind of like a double top here. So this is favoring the 227 area for some downside. Unless we break 230, this is favoring downside for 227 and 225. For ES also has a divergence that's forming. We have to see if we could hold 6111. If 6111 fails us, we're going to be dumping to 6050. If we break past 6168, we're going to be pushing higher. So we'll see which way we end up going. But this might be dipping to about 6111, so just keep that in mind. It might be a small dip here, and we'll see if ES bounces or not. So I anticipate there might be a little dip right over here. Will we get some kind of big bounce off of that, or will we continue to fall? It depends, guys. So watch that very carefully to see if 6111 holds. On NQ, we're just shuffling at 22,000. We're in the direct middle right now. It could go either way. We're just consolidating. So if we break and hold above 22,000, we're looking for 22,200 as our target. If 22,000 fails us, we will eventually come down to 21,800. We're completely stuck in the pre-market, trading completely sideways, so I have to give it some time to develop. So please keep that in mind. Bitcoin looks a bit more bullish. As long as we hold 104,000, we're looking for an attempt for 107,000. For Nvda, we're completely range bound as well. So if it loses 144, look for a dump to 140. If it breaks 147, we'll look for 150. We're stuck in between. Might dip towards 144, and we'll see if we reject or not. But just keep those levels in mind. Tesla, we're going to be watching to see if we could reclaim the blue trend line, by the way. So we'll see if it reclaims this or not. This will attempt to push higher, and then we'll see if we get a rejection on. So just be careful. Apple looks a bit more bullish. If we break 226, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 228. If we don't hold above 226, though, we're looking for a move back down to 222. I think this is favoring upside wants to bounce, so hopefully we get a bounce on Apple. Just a few more. We have Coin. Coin is now at 301, but there is this gap to fill at 296 if we don't hold this. So if we hold 300, we're looking for an attempt for 308. If 300 fails, we're looking for a dip back down to 296 and then eventually 291. So watch and see. Can we hold 300 remain bullish, or do we end up losing it to start dipping? The chart is a bit more bullish, but we'll see if 300 holds just temporarily. Amazon looks a bit more bullish. We need to hold 235. If we hold 235, we're looking for 238 as our target. If 235 fails us, we dip to 233 and then eventually 230. So far, it looks a bit more bullish, trying to hold 235, so we'll see. On Meta, we pumped very nicely. It's about 640. Now we're dipping a little bit. Might retest 633, if not 630. We'll see if we bounce. So it could be forming kind of like a cup and handle. We have like a triple bottom. So look for a small dip back down towards 633 or so, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not. If we don't bounce off 630, we're looking for 625. Hopefully we bounce off 630, so give it some time. There might be a small dip coming. Microsoft is looking so it's stuck in the middle, but it's a little bullish overall. We'll see if we get some kind of slowdown first, like 444, and we bounce back up to about 450. Still looks bullish unless we end up losing 442. Just know that. Google's also bullish. As long as we hold 198, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 202. If we lose 198, we're looking for 196, but we do look a little bit more bullish. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. As far as the market's going, Tesla remains a little bit more bullish this morning after the Model Y refresh news. Hopefully we get a push for 420, and we'll see if Tesla could reclaim this blue trend line or not. If we reclaim this, then yes, it will uptrend. If not, we'll have to give it more time. I'll be back in many hours just to give you guys another update. Until then, I thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.